right, guys, I'm going to start you off here with the Tiny Cat Vodka. Most people find it's a little buttery, a little creamier than most other vodkas. We try to go for a round mouthfeel on the palate instead of sharp, but still keep a little bit of that North Carolina soft red wheat flavor in there. You guys enjoy.
It's buttery.
Good.
And creamy.
Good. All right, guys, next up here is our gin. This is Emulsion. It's a very new American style gin, so it's a little light on the juniper, still enough in there to call it a gin. Instead, we definitely focus more on the floral aspects of a gin. As soon as you get your nose anywhere near that, you'll be able to tell that right away. We use 12 total botanicals in there. To me personally, I get a ton of cardamom, orange peel, lemongrass, lavender, a little bit of spice from the cloves and the grains of paradise, a little star anise on the back end for sure. This gin in 2018, Cigar and Spirits magazine, they did a top 5 gin in the world, and tied number 2 with Hendrix. You guys enjoy it.
What's your favorite cocktail with this gin?
That gin I love in a ton of different stuff. It does super well with ginger, mint, any kind of fresh juices. I love a south side with it. A lot of the classic cocktails work really well with it as well.
Negroni would be good.
Negroni works super well with that for sure.
South side was immediately what I went to.
Yeah, that's hot summer days the best.
Yeah.
South side and south end.
There you go. Next one up here is the first whiskey we ever released, Stevie Fisher's American Single Malt Whiskey. It's 100% malted barley that we age in a brand new American white oak char number 4 barrel. This batch is right at 3 years. To me personally, I get a ton of honey and vanilla in there, a little bit of baking spices. I get a ton of sweet tea on the nose on this one too. This one makes my absolute favorite old fashioned as well, especially with a little orange and fig bitters in there.
Where'd you get the name Stevie Fisher?
So Captain Basil Fisher was a Greensboro resident in the 1800s. He moved down here to open up a gold mine. When he left, he donated a plot of land to the city. The city turned that as was now Fisher Park, the residential neighborhood right outside downtown. The real reason we named it after him is the first time we ever distilled, it was in Fisher Park. But that's just highly illegal and we couldn't put that on a bottle, so it's wrote a big long story about the guy in the back.
Nice.
Alright guys, next one up here is probably a staff favorite for sure. C.B. Fisher's Straight Rye Whiskey. Straight just means it's been in the barrel for at least 2 years. This is actually the second ever straight whiskey made in North Carolina. It's 60% rye, 30% corn, 10% malted barley. So it's a lower rye percentage than most mass-produced rye whiskeys. As well as in February of 2020, Cigar and Spirits magazine named this the second best rye whiskey in the world. It tied in the overall category with African Level 15.
Oh my God.
Let's enjoy this one.
Impressive.
Works super well with a lot of prohibition cocktails, Manhattans, everything like that. It's really, really well.
Yeah.
Was there a lot of time between you guys doing the single malt and then starting with the rye?
So we produced everything. We distilled everything. We distilled bourbon before we distilled vodka. It just took a long time to put in the barrel at that point. So we've been distilling it for 5 years now, and then aging in the barrel. We released the single malt about a year before the rye, and now they've caught up with each other about age-wise, where they're both around 3-year mark. So about 3 years. These most common batches around 3 years, 2 months.
And you're aging all that in your distillery?
Yeah, we age it all here. We also have an off-site warehouse where we have about 400 barrels put aside right now. Rye notes.
The corn comes through on the back end.
Yeah, good. Yeah,
It's nice.
Yeah, and that one's one of our higher proof. It's 92.3 proof, so it's up there percentage-wise.
What is the what's the reasoning behind having such like a wide array of proofs for your whiskeys?
So it's kind of how we wanted to introduce it. The single malt is 86.8. We wanted to go with a lower proof and easy sippable introduction at that point. To us, the rye wanted to bump it up a little bit, wanted to be spicier, a little slower to drink as well. And then the bottled and bond has to be right at 100 proof for federal regulations, so that's what's at. All right,
It's really good.
and the last one you guys try here is our latest release, C.B. Fisher's Bottled and Bond Bourbon. Bottled and Bond came into an act in 1897. There was a lot of fraudulent whiskey on the market at the time. So the federal government came up with the Bottled and Bond Act, which just means to be called a bottled and bond whiskey has to be aged at least 4 years in a federally bonded warehouse and distilled and bottled by the same company and bottled right at 100 proof. This is the first ever bottled and bond bourbon in North Carolina history. Yes,
Cool. What was the process like for getting your warehouse bonded?
It's actually not that bad anymore. It's almost just paperwork, which is not something we're great at. We're better at the making process of it. But it's not as bad as it used to be.
Was it intimidating, like stepping into the bourbon arena as a North Carolina distillery?
Yeah, if it was like Kentucky or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, because everybody thinks it has to be made in Kentucky, or it has to be made in the U.S.
Right.
But that's something when we started the distillery, we wanted to make bourbon. That's what we drink at home. That's what we really care about as well. So we wanted to put our best foot forward with that. That's why I wanted to do a bottle and bond with that as well.
Use Greensboro water.
Yeah, actually it's Greensboro water, and we reverse osmosis water machine. So we want clean taste of water at that point. We really want the spirit to shine.